Other types of filters you can perform in Excel are top 10 and above or below average. Let's start with above or below average. First of all, that naturally assumes that you're working with numbers. Let's have a look at these actual values that I've got in column H. I'll click on the first number in column H, which is 1100, which is sitting in H2. I'll then press Ctrl-Shift down arrow because I want to select to the bottom of the actual values. So this selects all my actual values from effectively H2 to H271 by pressing Ctrl-Shift down arrow from a starting point. If I then look at the bottom of my screen, I have what's known as the status bar. And the status bar is currently giving me the sum of the selected cells. The sum of the selected cells is 403,740, but I need to know what the average is. Now, if I right-click the status bar, I can turn things off and on. And one of the things I do in the stage 1, which you may have missed, is I get them to turn on everything, including average. As I choose these various options, you can see at the bottom of your screen, we're getting a lot of information shown to us. And then I'll just click away to get rid of that list. So with this range H2 to H271 selected, I can see the average is basically 1495 and a third. So if I was to filter out all those records who had an actual value above average, they would have an actual value above 1495 and a third. If I filtered out all those below, they would effectively have an average below 1495. So let's do that. I'll press Ctrl up arrow to get to the top of column H. I'll turn on my filter by pressing Ctrl-Shift L, and I'll hit the drop down on my actual column heading. I'm not after an exact filter, so I'm not going to tick and untick what I want. I'm going to number filters, which we had a look at in an earlier video. I'd like to choose above average. When I choose above average, the records I'm showing, which is a whole 96 records out of 270, will have an average value greater than 1495 and a third, and they do. If I was to hit the drop down on the actual column heading again and go back to number filters, and this time choose below average, all of these records, which is a total of 174 out of 270 records, 174 records have an actual value that is below 1495 and a third. So that's how the above average and the below average filter works. We just had to ascertain what the average was in the first place. Now the top 10, how does that work? I'm going to go to my actual and I'm going to clear the filter from actual. I'll hit the drop down on actual again, and this time I'll go to number filters and choose top 10. If I want the records that were the top 25% of actual values, I would simply stay with top, but do see that you can change it to bottom. I would change the 10 to 25, and I'd change items to percent. When I click OK, this will be the top quarter or top 25% of actual records, of actual values, which gives me a total of 96 out of 270 records. So you can ask for the top or the bottom, number of items or percentage. If I go back to actual and clear the filter and then go back and press Ctrl-Shift L, I can turn the filter off.